I used to think I had it all. A steady job, a cozy apartment, and a wife who made every morning feel like a warm sunrise. Her name was Lily, and I loved her like I'd never loved anyone else. Simple things made me happy, her laugh echoing in the kitchen, the way she'd brush my hair back when I was lost in thought, the soft hum of her singing as she put Emily to sleep. That was our little world, and I thought it would last forever. But life has a cruel way of twisting the perfect into something unbearable. It started with small things. Lily staying late at work, saying it was just a new project. Phone calls she'd take in another room, pretending to be casual, even when I could hear the tension in her voice. Texts that she'd hurriedly lock when I glanced over her shoulder. At first, I told myself I was being paranoid, that maybe I was imagining shadows where none existed. But the nagging in my chest refused to go away. I remember the night I confronted her. Emily was asleep in her crib, her tiny chest rising and falling like a fragile little promise of hope. I could hear Lily in the kitchen, whispering. My heart pounded as I walked over, my hands trembling, not with anger at first, but with a dread I couldn't explain. Lily, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, can we talk? She turned, her smile soft but strained. Of course, babe. What's wrong? I swallowed, feeling a lump in my throat. I know something's going on. You've been distant. Secretive. I can feel it. Her eyes widened for a split second, and I saw it, the flicker of guilt she couldn't hide. She shook her head quickly. You're imagining things. I've just been tired, that's all. Tired? I stepped closer, my voice rising, though I tried to control it. You think I'm stupid, Lily? The messages, the calls, the late nights. I see it all. You're hiding something from me. Her face changed then, the soft lines of her smile disappearing. She looked away, biting her lip, and my stomach twisted. I didn't want you to find out like this, she whispered. What is it? I demanded, my voice cracking. Just tell me. Her eyes finally met mine, glossy with tears, and the words hit me like a hammer. I've been seeing someone else, she admitted, barely above a whisper. I felt like the ground had been ripped from under me. My chest burned, my hands went cold, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. All those years, the memories, the promises, the late-night talks, we were nothing but a lie. And worse, she didn't even look ashamed. I can't believe this, I choked out. After everything, after Emily. I know, she said, tears sliding down her cheeks. I'm sorry. I never meant for it to hurt you. But I can't do this anymore. I don't love you the way I should, and I can't raise Emily in a home full of lies. I couldn't speak. My little girl's crib felt like a cruel reminder of everything I had lost. You're taking her? I finally whispered, my voice barely audible. Yes, she said firmly. She'll be better off with me. I can give her the life she deserves. You're too wrapped up in yourself to see it. The words were knives, cutting into my chest. I wanted to scream, to beg, to punch something, but all I could do was stare. She gathered a few things, her movements calm and deliberate, like she was leaving a place she had long since stopped caring about. As she walked out the door, cradling our daughter in her arms, I felt a hollowness I didn't know could exist. The echo of the lock clicking behind her was deafening. My perfect life had fallen apart in one night, leaving me alone in the ruins of love and trust. I sank to the floor, clutching the empty crib, and whispered Emily's name over and over, hoping somehow she could hear me. I had loved too much, trusted too deeply, and now, now I was left with nothing but memories of a life that never truly existed. The nights were the worst. Daylight offered distractions, work, errands, even the brief comfort of friends, but darkness brought me face to face with the empty apartment and the ghost of the life I'd lost. I'd sit on the couch, staring at the crib that no longer held Emily, listening to the faint hum of the city outside. It was quiet enough to hear my own thoughts screaming. I tried to keep myself busy. My job demanded long hours, and I buried myself in spreadsheets and reports, pretending I cared more about numbers than the hollow ache in my chest. But no matter what I did, every notification, every sound, reminded me of her. A ringtone, a laugh on the street, even the way someone cradled their child in the park, it was all a reminder that she was gone. Tom noticed first. He showed up one evening, unannounced, knocking loudly until I opened the door. He didn't say hello right away. He just looked at me, his arms crossed, like he'd seen a ghost. "You okay, man?" he asked finally. His voice was casual, but I could hear the worry underneath. I forced a smile. Yeah, just tired." "Tired?" He raised an eyebrow, stepping inside. "You've been like this for months. You're barely eating, sleeping like crap. You can't keep doing this to yourself." I laughed bitterly. "What do you want me to do, Tom? Go get drunk? Forget she exists? You can't just erase someone you love." "You can't live like this either," he said sharply. "I know it hurts, but you have to move on. You can't let her, and what she did, control your life. Move on." The words echoed in my mind like a cruel joke. Move on while she held Emily, while she ruined everything we had built? I didn't want to move on, I wanted answers, justice, revenge, even if it was just in my own mind. But I also knew he was right. If I didn't find a way to survive, I'd disappear in this grief completely. Karen called one evening. I hadn't really talked to her much before Lily left, but somehow, in these lonely months, she became someone I could open up to. Her voice was soft on the phone, almost like she could sense the emptiness surrounding me. "I can't believe she did that to you," she said gently. "I mean, Emily, too. I don't know how you've held it together." I swallowed hard, my throat tight. Some nights I don't. Some nights I just sit there and think about how everything I built, it all crumbled in a single day. "You're stronger than you think," she said. "And Emily, she's lucky to have you in her life, even if you're not with her right now. Don't forget that." Her words stung in a strange way. They were comforting, yet reminded me of the void in my arms. I ended the call feeling heavier than before. Talking didn't fix anything. It was just a brief pause from the constant ache in my chest. I started keeping a journal at night, writing down every thought, every memory, every anger-filled fantasy about Lily. Some nights I wrote about revenge, imagining scenarios where she got what she deserved. Other nights, I wrote to Emily, imagining the words she'd understand one day, how much I loved her, how I never stopped thinking about her, and how I was trying, desperately, to survive until we could be together again. Sleep became a stranger. When I closed my eyes, Lily's face would appear, smiling in ways she hadn't smiled at me in years, cradling Emily and whispering things that made my blood boil. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, my hands shaking, wondering if I'd ever feel safe in my own mind again. Tom started dropping by more often, sometimes with beer, sometimes with takeout, sometimes just sitting in silence with me. He didn't push, didn't ask questions. He just let me exist in my grief, a silent anchor in a storm that refused to let up. And in the quiet moments, when the apartment was still, and even Tom had gone home, I'd whisper Emily's name into the darkness. I'd imagine her little face, her tiny hands, and for a second, I'd almost believe she was still with me. Almost. But then reality would crash back in, and I'd realize that Lily had taken the best part of me with her, and nothing I did, nothing I wrote, nothing I imagined, could bring it back. Years passed, and somehow I managed to survive. The nights of empty silence didn't stop, but they became shorter. I buried myself in work, promotions, and late nights at the office. The apartment that once echoed with Lily's laughter now felt like my own, even if the shadows of the past lingered. I learned to smile again, to laugh at small things, to care about life in a way I hadn't thought possible. But then, one day, Mark, a mutual friend from before everything fell apart, called. He didn't waste words on small talk. "Hey, you're going to want to hear this," he said, his voice low, almost conspiratorial. I froze. "What is it?" "It's Lily, it's messy. Her new guy left her. She's having trouble keeping a job. People are talking." I closed my eyes, the tension twisting in my chest. Part of me wanted to hang up, to bury myself in ignorance, to pretend I didn't care. But another part, the part that had spent years imagining the karma she deserved, leaned forward, listening. "What do you mean, messy?" I asked cautiously. "She's unstable. Bitter. She's telling people things about you, things that aren't true." "And her new boyfriend?" "Gone. She's lost the apartment, running from one job to another." A strange satisfaction crept into me, but it was tangled with a deep sadness. I had never wished her real harm, only justice, only to see her own choices come back to her. And now, through some twist of fate, it seemed that life was doing it for me. Has Emily seen her?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Sometimes," Mark said carefully. "But Emily's mostly with her grandparents. Lily's unstable. You know how she can get." I hung up, staring at the wall, feeling a mixture of relief and anxiety. For years I'd been trapped in my own bitterness, reliving the betrayal, imagining revenge, imagining confrontations. And now, it seemed, the universe had handed me a stage, but I didn't know if I wanted to step onto it. Later that evening, I found myself walking through the park where I used to take Emily. I watched other fathers play with their children, heard laughter, saw tiny hands reach for ice cream cones. My chest tightened. A wave of longing hit me, sharper than any anger. I wanted to scream at life for being so cruel, to demand my daughter back, to make Lily understand the pain she had caused. Tom noticed my distant stare when I met him for drinks later. "You're thinking about her, aren't you?" he said bluntly, sliding a beer across the table. I took it without looking. "Always," I muttered. "Mark told you?" I nodded. "Yeah. She's unraveling. Her life's falling apart. And part of me feels like I don't know. I should care, but I don't." "You're human," Tom said. "You cared once, you probably still do, and that's okay. But don't let her mess with your life anymore. You've spent years building yourself back up. Don't let her ghost haunt you again." I wanted to argue, wanted to say that she already had haunted me, but I couldn't. Tom was right, as he always was. I had rebuilt, even if the cracks were still there. And now, I had a choice. I could watch quietly as she sank, let karma run its course, or I could step forward and confront her myself. For the first time in years, I felt something stir inside me that wasn't just pain or rage. It was a spark of clarity, sharp and cold. I didn't need revenge in the way I had imagined. I needed justice, and I needed to protect Emily, no matter what. That night, I went home and stared at the ceiling. Shadows of the past swirled in my mind, Lily's laughter, her betrayal, Emily's tiny fingers curling around mine. The memories burned, but for the first time, they weren't paralyzing. They were fuel. I made a decision, quiet but firm. I would see her. I would uncover the truth about everything she'd done. And this time, I would not be the broken man left behind. Something inside me had shifted. I was no longer just a victim of her betrayal. I was becoming the man who would face the shadow of her choices, and whatever came next, I would be ready. I hadn't expected her to come back. Not after all these years. Not after the way she tore through my life, leaving me hollow and broken. But that evening, the knock at the door made my chest tighten like it always did when my past reached out to me. I opened the door, and there she was, Lily. Slightly older, tired-looking, but still the same woman who had stolen everything from me. She clutched a small bag in one hand, and in the other, I caught a glimpse of Emily, older now, curious eyes peeking around her mother's legs. "Hi," Lily said, her voice trembling. I need to talk to you." I studied her, my mind racing, a storm of anger, disbelief, and something I couldn't name. "You have some nerve showing up here," I said, my voice tight. "After what you did." Her lips quivered. I know I don't deserve anything. But I had to see you. I had to see Emily. She's my daughter too." Emily's eyes met mine, and my chest twisted. She didn't understand fully, she was too young, but she looked at me like I was home. I knelt down instinctively. "Hey, pumpkin," I said softly. She smiled, shy but trusting. Lily took a deep breath. I've made so many mistakes. I thought I was doing the right thing, taking her, giving her what I thought was a better life. But it's not enough. I see that now. I wanted to scream, wanted to tell her she had no right, that she had destroyed years of love and trust. But Emily's small hand on mine stopped me. I swallowed, trying to control the surge of emotions threatening to spill. "You took her from me," I said quietly, my voice barely steady. "Do you know what it's like to not see your own child for 5 years? To hear her laugh, to watch her grow, and not be there? Do you know how it felt to feel powerless?" Lily's eyes glistened with tears. "I do," she whispered. "Every single day, I've regretted it. And now I see. I see the pain I caused. I didn't realize it then. I didn't know how selfish I was. I wanted to believe her, I wanted to. But every word she said cut me deeper because I had spent years imagining this moment, me confronting her, finally having the chance to see if she truly felt remorse. "Why now?" I asked, my voice rising slightly. "Why after all this time?" She shook her head. "Because everything is falling apart. My life, it's nothing without her. I thought I could be happy without you, but I was wrong. And I can't bear the thought of losing Emily to me, or losing her to anyone else. I need to make things right." I clenched my fists, my mind spinning. This was my crossroads. I could let her manipulate me again, let her back into our lives, or I could hold firm, protect Emily, and make sure she understood that actions have consequences. Emily tugged gently at my sleeve. "Daddy," she asked, her voice soft and innocent. My heart broke all over again. I crouched to her level, brushing her hair back. "Hey, kiddo," I said, my voice catching. "How about we get some ice cream, Lily's lips parted, ready to say something, but I raised a hand slightly. Not yet, Lily. You need to understand, this isn't just about what you feel now. It's about everything you've done. You can't erase that with tears. Her shoulders sagged, defeated, but she didn't argue. For the first time, she seemed truly small, humbled by the weight of her own mistakes. I realized then that seeing her return wasn't just shock or anger. It was an opportunity, a chance to finally confront the pain, to reclaim control, and maybe, in some strange way, to find closure. You need to be honest with me, I said firmly. No excuses, no lies. If you want to see her, if you want any part of this, you have to face the truth of what you did. And I need to know that you're ready to accept the consequences. She nodded slowly, tears streaming freely now. I am, she whispered. Whatever it takes. For a moment, the world seemed still. Emily's eyes shifted between us, sensing the tension, but not fully understanding. And I realized something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. This was the first step in a new chapter, one where the past could finally meet the present, and where I could decide whether to be a broken man or the man she had tried to destroy. And I knew, deep down, that nothing would ever be simple again. I couldn't sleep that night. Lily had left after a long, tense conversation, but her presence lingered like smoke in the apartment. Emily was asleep in her bed, unaware of the storm that had returned to our lives. And I knew something about Lily, didn't add up. I started digging. Not in a malicious way, but carefully. Old emails, conversations, social media, anything that could tell me what she'd been hiding all these years. The more I looked, the more I realized that her remorse was carefully staged. Mark had hinted at it, but I didn't want to believe it. Now, the truth was staring me in the face. Lily had lied about her job, her struggles, even the way she claimed she had raised Emily alone. There were photos of her with people I didn't recognize, in places she'd said she'd never been. Texts she had sent to friends about keeping me at bay while she controlled Emily's schedule. Every message, every little lie, felt like a punch to the gut. I leaned back in my chair, rubbing my eyes. I wanted to feel anger, and I did, but beneath that, I felt something colder, clarity. She had spent years manipulating everyone around her, twisting stories to make herself look like the victim while I had suffered in silence. The next morning, I called Tom. He answered on the first ring. You look like hell, he said immediately. Yeah, well, you should see what I've found, I muttered, my voice low. Lily, she's been lying about everything. She's been manipulating people, keeping Emily away, twisting the truth about her life. It's all fake, Tom. Figures, he said, with a sharp edge to his tone. She's always been a master of acting innocent. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, I admitted. But I need to be careful. I can't let her manipulate me, or Emily, again. Tom was quiet for a moment. You've got the upper hand. You know the truth now. Don't waste it. Protect Emily, and let her fall apart on her own. She'll face the consequences if you play it smart. His words hit me like a cold wave. I had been waiting for a moment like this for years, a chance to see the truth, to finally level the playing field. But it also terrified me. I wasn't a cruel man, yet part of me wanted her to feel even a fraction of the pain she had caused me. Later that week, I started small. I tested her reactions during casual conversations, letting slip little hints of knowledge I wasn't supposed to have. She tensed, adjusted her words, tried to charm her way out, but I saw through it. Every lie was a crack, and I could feel the walls around her carefully constructed life beginning to tremble. Emily, of course, was blissfully unaware of the tension. She clung to me when I read her bedtime stories, asked for help with drawing, and giggled when I made silly faces. Protecting her became my purpose. Every investigation, every quiet observation I made about Lily, was for her. I couldn't risk confusing or hurting her, not after all she had endured. One afternoon, I confronted Lily carefully, not accusing, not threatening, but subtly. "Emily mentioned something today," I said casually. "She asked why some of your stories don't match what I told her. Things like, your trip to the city last year. You said she went with you, but she doesn't remember it." Lily stiffened. Her smile faltered, her hands gripping the table. I must have misremembered," she said, too quickly. "Sure," I said softly, my eyes locked on hers. "It's okay. We all make mistakes. But Emily deserves the truth, Lily. Not excuses." For the first time, I saw real fear in her eyes. Not of me, exactly, but of being exposed, of losing the control she had fought so hard to keep. That fear, I realized, was my advantage. She had underestimated me for years, and now, quietly, carefully, I had the power. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. I simply felt something I hadn't felt in years: control. And with control came a plan, one that would keep Emily safe, expose the lies, and ensure that Lily finally faced the consequences of her actions. Because this time, I wasn't the man left broken in the shadows. I was the one holding the flashlight, illuminating the truth. The moment came sooner than I expected. Lily showed up that evening, unannounced again, with that same fragile look on her face, like she thought she could cry her way into forgiveness. Emily was coloring at the table, humming softly, completely unaware of the tension in the air. I could feel it simmering between us, thick and heavy. I wanted to see her," Lily said quietly, avoiding my eyes. "I just wanted a normal evening with Emily. Nothing else." I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "Normal? Do you even know what that word means, Lily? You took 5 years from her life, and mine. You can't just waltz back in and act like nothing happened." Her lower lip trembled. I know. I'm sorry. You're sorry?" I interrupted sharply. "Do you even know how many nights I spent wondering if she remembered me at all? Do you know how many times I imagined what it would be like to hold her, just for a few minutes? You think a few tears fix that?" Emily looked up at us, sensing the tension. "Daddy," she said softly. I forced my voice to calm. "Hey, kiddo. Daddy's fine. Go finish your drawing." Lily's eyes softened when she looked at Emily, but I saw it, the flicker of fear beneath her sorrow. I realized in that moment that fear was more powerful than tears. She had underestimated me before, underestimated what I was capable of. And now, I wasn't the broken man she had left behind. I just wanted a chance to be in her life," Lily said, finally meeting my gaze. "Chance?" I echoed, my voice low and dangerous. "You had your chance, Lily. And you wasted it. Every lie, every manipulation, every stolen moment, you can't take that back. But here's your choice now: you can face the truth, or you can leave. Your actions will decide how this ends." Her shoulders slumped, and she nodded slowly. "I'll do whatever it takes. I just want her to know I love her." I let out a bitter laugh. "Love? Do you even know what that means? You think love excuses everything? No. Love doesn't hurt people. Love doesn't destroy families. You want to see Emily, you're going to earn it. And you're going to face the consequences of your lies. She swallowed hard. I understand. Please, just tell me what I need to do. I took a step closer, my mind racing. I wasn't going to humiliate her in front of Emily, but I needed to make sure she understood the gravity of her actions. You're going to start by being honest. Every detail. Every lie you told me, everything you did to manipulate Emily, every time you tried to make me doubt myself, you're going to confess it all. And you're going to let me see that you've truly changed, not just say it. Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't soften. And this isn't just about words. Your future with Emily depends on what you do next. One false move, one slip, and I'll make sure she stays with me. Permanently. The fear in her gaze was real now. I realized she had always relied on charm and manipulation to get what she wanted. But I wasn't fooled anymore. I had spent years rebuilding my life, learning patience, observing, and waiting for the moment I could confront her with the truth. And now, that moment had arrived. I'll do it, she whispered, voice trembling. I'll be honest. I'll fix this. Good, I said coldly. Start now. And remember, every word you hide will come back to haunt you. Emily tugged gently at my sleeve again. Daddy, are we going to be okay? I crouched down, brushing a stray hair from her forehead. We'll be more than okay, kiddo. We'll be stronger than ever. You and me, we've got this. As I looked up at Lily, I realized something important. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice, about reclaiming the life that had been stolen from me, about making sure Emily grew up safe and loved. And for the first time in years, I felt a sense of calm determination. Lily might have returned, but the power had shifted. She was no longer in control, and I knew exactly what needed to be done. The crossroads had appeared, and I had chosen my path, not with anger or cruelty, but with precision, patience, and resolve. The game was no longer hers. It was mine. I watched quietly, letting the pieces fall into place on their own. Lily thought she could charm her way back into our lives, but now the truth was no longer hers to control. Every lie, every manipulation, every stolen moment was coming to light, and I was no longer powerless to watch it happen. It started small. Friends she had leaned on for years began to drift away. Subtle questions, casual conversations, people noticing inconsistencies in her stories, realizing she hadn't been entirely honest about Emily, about her life, about everything. It was strange to feel satisfaction in someone else's suffering, but I reminded myself it wasn't malice, it was justice. Are you sure you're okay with this? Tom asked one evening, sitting across from me at the diner. I sipped my coffee, staring out the window at the gray sky. I'm not doing anything to her. I'm just letting the truth speak for itself. She built this, Tom. She created her own downfall. Tom nodded, understanding. I just hate seeing her try to hurt you again. She still has a way of twisting things. She won't be twisting anything anymore, I said, my voice steady. Emily is my priority. Everything else is secondary. And Emily was everything. She came to me every day after school, telling me stories about her day, her friends, her little adventures. She laughed, hugged me tightly, and sometimes looked at Lily with confused eyes, wondering why her mother sometimes said things that didn't match reality. I kept careful watch over those moments, subtly correcting misinformation without ever making Emily feel like she was in the middle of a war. Lily didn't understand that control no longer belonged to her. Every manipulation, every lie she had built her confidence on, was crumbling quietly in front of my eyes. Then came the confrontation with friends who had once defended her. People she had counted on to back her up were no longer available. She called them, pleading, crying, trying to explain herself, but no one believed her. I saw it in her eyes when she came to me again that evening. I don't understand, she said, voice shaking. Why is everything falling apart? I've tried to do right by Emily. Right by Emily? I repeated, my tone cutting. You lied to everyone, Lily. You lied to me, to her, to everyone around you. You made choices, and now you're facing the consequences. That's called karma. That's called justice. And it's about time you felt it firsthand. Her tears fell freely, but this time, I didn't soften. I stayed calm, because Emily was watching, learning, and I needed to show her the strength of truth. I'm sorry, she whispered, almost inaudible. I didn't mean. No, I interrupted gently but firmly. Sorry isn't enough. It's too late for that. You had your chance. But you can start to make things right, if you actually mean it. If you really care about Emily, you'll do it honestly, not with lies or manipulation. Her shoulders sagged, defeated. I could see the realization in her eyes, the power had shifted. She could no longer charm, manipulate, or deceive. She had built a life on lies, and it was falling apart naturally, piece by piece. Over the next few days, I watched the dominoes continue to fall. Work opportunities she had bragged about evaporated. Friends distanced themselves. Even casual acquaintances started seeing through her facade. And Emily, my Emily, was safe in the middle of it all, unaware of the storm but thriving in the stability I provided. I never gloated. I never taunted her. Karma doesn't need help. It doesn't need insults or threats. It only needed the truth, and the truth was undeniable. One evening, Lily broke down completely. She sat on the couch, exhausted and humiliated, and whispered, I understand now. Everything I've done, everything I've said. I see it. I see the damage. I see what I lost. I watched her quietly, feeling a strange mixture of relief and sadness. Relief, because the truth had finally reached her. Sadness, because I had once loved this woman, once trusted her completely. But that life was gone. It couldn't come back. I kneeled down beside Emily, brushing a strand of hair from her face. You're safe, kiddo, I whispered. We're safe now. And nothing is going to change that. Emily smiled, hugging me tightly. I love you, Daddy. I held her close, feeling the weight of years of pain lifting slightly. Lily's downfall wasn't about cruelty. It was about balance. She had chosen her path, and the world had simply reflected it back to her. I had played no part other than ensuring Emily remained protected. That night, I lay awake for hours, listening to Emily's soft breathing in the next room. I thought about the past, the betrayals, the lies, and I finally realized something. The power wasn't in revenge. The power was in survival, in resilience, in ensuring that the innocent, the ones you truly love, come first. Lily's tears, her loss, her fear, they were the natural consequences of the life she had chosen. And for the first time in years, I felt a strange sense of peace. The storm had passed. But the story wasn't over yet. There was still one final chapter, one ultimate confrontation that would bring closure, not just for me, but for Emily, and even for Lily. The morning sun filtered through the blinds, casting soft light across Emily's room. She was still asleep, her little chest rising and falling peacefully. For the first time in years, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, real, quiet peace. The storm had passed, and the ruins of the past were finally settling. Lily hadn't returned that night. After the events of the past weeks, after watching the truth dismantle her carefully constructed world, she had left quietly. No dramatic apologies, no desperate pleas, just a resignation that felt almost like acceptance. I still remembered our last conversation. She had looked at me, vulnerable and broken, and whispered, "I understand now. I see everything I've done, and I see what I've lost." I didn't respond with comfort. I didn't hug her or say it was okay. That moment wasn't about me forgiving her, it was about her facing reality. And for the first time, she had. Emily stirred, rubbing her eyes and blinking up at me. "Daddy?" I smiled, sitting on the edge of her bed. "Hey, kiddo. Did you sleep well?" "Yeah," she yawned, stretching. "Can we go to the park today?" "Absolutely," I said, brushing her hair back. "We'll go get ice cream too." Her small hand found mine, and I held it tightly, feeling the warmth of her trust. She didn't know how much had happened behind the scenes, how much I had fought to protect her, how many nights I had lain awake wondering if we'd ever be okay. She didn't need to know. She just needed to feel safe, and that was my job. Later that day, as we walked to the park, I saw the sunlight glinting on the swings, the laughter of children filling the air. Emily ran ahead, her tiny ponytails bouncing, and I felt a surge of gratitude. We were free from the shadows that had haunted us for so long. I thought about Lily, what she had lost, what she had faced. I didn't feel triumph, not really. There was no joy in watching someone fall. I felt a quiet satisfaction, the knowledge that justice had been served without cruelty, and that Emily's happiness wasn't compromised. Tom called that evening. "So, how's life without the ghost of Lily hanging over you?" he asked with a smirk. I laughed softly. "It's peaceful, actually. I think we're finally free." "Good," he said. "You've earned it. You've been through hell, and now you get to move forward. Don't let her mistakes define you anymore." I leaned back in my chair, thinking of everything, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the years of longing and anger. I had grown through it all. I had learned patience, resilience, and the importance of protecting what truly mattered. And I had emerged stronger, not bitter, not broken. Emily ran in, clutching a small bouquet of wildflowers she had picked on our way home. "For you, Daddy," she said, her smile bright and pure. I knelt down, taking the flowers, and felt my heart swell. "Thank you, kiddo. These are perfect." She hugged me tightly, and for a moment, I allowed myself to close my eyes and just feel the weight of all that had happened lift. The betrayal, the lies, the stolen years, all of it was behind us now. We were together, safe, and moving forward. That night, I sat at the kitchen table, sipping a cup of tea. I thought about Lily one last time, not with anger, not with longing, but with understanding. She had made her choices, faced the consequences, and walked away. I had no reason to chase her, no reason to dwell. The past was a shadow, but it no longer had power over me. I looked around the apartment, Emily's drawings on the fridge, her tiny socks by the door, the way the sunlight hit the walls, and I realized something. Life was fragile. Love was fragile. But the bonds we nurture, the trust we protect, and the choices we make, those are what endure. I whispered to myself, softly but firmly, "We're going to be okay. We're going to be happy. And nothing is ever taking that from us again." Emily climbed onto my lap, yawning. Good night, Daddy. Good night, kiddo, I said, holding her close. As I watched her drift to sleep, I finally allowed myself to breathe fully, without fear, without pain. The past had taught me, scarred me, and strengthened me. And now, for the first time in years, I could look forward without shadows clouding my heart. The future was ours. And it was bright. It had been months since Lily's quiet retreat, since the world finally stopped spinning around the lies she had built. Emily thrived, laughing, growing, her world full of warmth instead of shadows. And yet, even with peace restored, a part of me couldn't ignore the pull of the final reckoning. She had to fully understand the weight of what she had done, not through my anger, but through the natural course of consequences she had set for herself. I first saw her at a local cafe. She looked smaller than I remembered, tired and hesitant, clutching a stack of papers as if they were lifelines. She froze when she saw me, eyes widening. I didn't approach immediately. I watched her, noticing the quiet despair in her movements, the way she avoided everyone's gaze. Finally, she noticed me. I didn't expect to see you here, she said, voice trembling. I didn't smile. I didn't come for a reunion, Lily. I came to make sure you understand everything. She nodded quickly, swallowing hard. I know. I've lost everything that mattered, and it's my fault. Yes, I said simply. Everything. She sat across from me, hands fidgeting. Emily, she's happy, right? Yes, I replied firmly. She's safe, loved, and thriving. And it's because I protected her from the consequences of your mistakes. You had your chance, Lily. And now, you have to live with the reality of what you've done. Her tears fell freely, but they no longer had the power to manipulate me. I listened silently as she spoke, explaining her failures, her lies, her loneliness, and her desperation. She had lost friends, credibility at work, and even the small network she had relied on to maintain the illusion of control. Every detail confirmed what I had suspected. Karma had been meticulous, and now it had finally reached its apex. I don't expect forgiveness, she whispered. I know I don't deserve it. I needed to tell someone. I needed you to know that I see it now. You're not here to fix things, I said quietly. You're here to face reality. And you are. That's all you get. We sat in silence, the weight of years compressing the air around us. Part of me felt the familiar anger stir, but it was tempered by calm, a sense of control I hadn't had in years. Emily's life was intact. I had survived. I had grown. I no longer needed closure from her tears, only confirmation that the truth had run its course. I just hope Emily can forgive me someday, she said. You can hope, I replied, voice steady. But forgiveness isn't yours to claim. It's hers. And for now, you need to understand that love doesn't give you a free pass. Every action has consequences, and you're finally seeing them. That's all there is. Her shoulders slumped further, and she finally lowered her gaze. It was over. She had been humbled by life itself, stripped of control, facing the world without charm or lies. And I realized, in that moment, that she would never again wield power over me or Emily. As I left the cafe, I felt an unexpected sense of lightness. The storm had not only passed, it had polished the edges of who I had become. Emily's laughter, her innocence, and her trust were untouched. Lily had faced the ultimate reckoning without me needing to raise a hand. That night, I tucked Emily into bed and held her close. You're safe, kiddo. Forever, I whispered. Always, Daddy, she mumbled sleepily, snuggling into my chest. I stayed there for a long time, listening to her steady breathing. Finally, I allowed myself to look forward to a future I could shape, free from betrayal, lies, and shadows. Life would continue, unpredictable and fragile, but I was ready. And for the first time, I truly believed that love, honesty, and resilience could overcome even the deepest wounds. Lily had paid her price. I had reclaimed my life. And Emily, my daughter, my reason, my anchor, was safe. That was all that mattered. The past had its echoes, but the present belonged to us. And I was determined to keep it that way.